Всем привет. Всем здравствуйте. Сегодня заценим Stanley Parable Deluxe Edition. Говорят, там какой-то новый контент присутствует и всякое такое. Поиграем. Я, кстати, не помню, насколько она длинная. Я играл как-то. И я не помню, прошел я или нет. Возможно, не прошел. Не помню, короче. Как-то я играл. Она выпала на аукционе, что ли, потом я еще что-то поиграл. И вроде на этом остановился. Здорово, чат, всем привет, кто подошел. Привет, Оксана Лейт, Никра, Бомбист, Митвей, здорово, чеки. Там Ника Песик не был на анонсе. Ну, пока не было причины постить. Поэтому не было. А что считается прохождением любая концовка? Да вот хз на самом деле. 8 класс, пора было. Там уже работа скорее, чем прохождение какого-то класса. Наверняка там есть прям концовка, я так понимаю. Логично. Там, наверное, их еще несколько к тому же. Ачивки. Там, говорят, новые добавили. То ли 10, то ли 15 в новой версии. Давайте пойдем в игру. Следующая ачивка. Но, естественно, умные люди берут просто и прокручивают время на ПК. Меняют дату, скорее всего. Привет, крепче. Так. Работает. Работает. Сейчас громкость надо будет посмотреть. Видите текущее время. А зачем? Блин, тут это AM/PM система. 09:25. Хотя это, наверное, первым видно. Погодите-ка, пока не начали, могу я что-то сказать. Спасибо, что правильно выставили время, оба рады, что запускали игру. Это тогда я запускал на работоспособность, как проверял. Многие относятся к этому как несерьезно, оставляют часы на 12 и торопятся дальше. Вы потратили время, чтобы выставить часы, я это ценю. Это говорит мне о том, что вы играете внимательно, что для вас важны детали. Я ведь даже не знаю, правильно ли вы время выставили. Знаете что, давайте договоримся. Я вам так доверяю, что при следующем запуске игры просто выставите на этом экране свое любимое время. Выбирайте любое время, даже если оно неправильное, вы заслужили. А теперь можем вернуться к игре. Умные люди откладывают прохождение на 5 лет. Но это слишком, это слишком. Вы запустили. Есть какие-то пасхалки, ачивки? Игра в игре. Так, давайте смотреть. Вот здесь, в принципе, не так сильно важно, я думаю, поле зрения всякое. Ходьба одной рукой. Как вы думаете, для чего в этой игре режим одной руки, так сказать? Или что это означает, ходьба одной рукой? Ты и так одной рукой ходишь, по сути. Ну, WASD управляешь, то есть что? Субтитры, размер субтитров, прозрачность фона субтитров. Меткий объект. Возможно, надо врубить. Видео. Аудио. Это мы потом настроим. Так. 120, сглаживание, высоко. Надеюсь, лагать не будет. Выставление 4:20. Есть пасхалка, интересно? Не думаю, но может быть есть, кстати. Я без вас не играл, я только проверял на работоспособность. Говорю, дошел вот до настройки и поменял разрешение. Потому что по дефолту она, по-моему, в окне запускалась. Ходьба с мышки? Ну, может быть, может быть. Давайте начать игру. The end is never ends.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Нажмите, чтобы пропустить. Не буду.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Я тоже сижу в комнате и нажимаю кнопки.
Desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in. As as though he had been made exactly for this job.
Диана по роду деятельности. Все мы нажимаем кнопки. Думаю, что рано или поздно это происходит.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget.
То, чего никогда не
He had been
забудет.
at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor.
У нее еще стул неплохой, кстати.
No one had showed up
Необычная
to give him
табуретка какая-то.
call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked,
мы все Стэнли.
frozen solid,
Да?
Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Так. Блин, лесенки в тенях.
All of his co-workers were gone. What
Все
could it mean?
пропали.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
А это так и должно быть? С освещением? Или у меня багуля какая-то? Что-то я не помню как бы. Это баг. Потому что я что-то не помню такого. Обратно не вернуться. Графон спиздили. И чё это, блядь? И чё делать? Среднее. Тут больше и нечего-то настраивать. Дверь должна молзак. Может, это секретный рут? Слушай, ну может быть и такое. Софтлок? Что-то сломали, что ли? Забавно, а то можно разглядывать всякие пасхалки, так сказать.
When Stanley came to a set of two
Нет, так не должно быть. А что делать? А что делать? Интересно. Ну, может, фуллскрин поставить?
open doors.
Ну, давайте попробуем перезапустить. Может, что-то багануло? Че, в главном меню вроде все норм, да? Так. А, нет. Лол.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
Не, ну, типа... Прикольно. Может, герцовку меньше поставить? Давайте поставим 60 феписов. Привет, Тома. Ты бы лучше поиграл в другую игру? Ой, бля, все так
decided
плавает
to go to
сразу.
the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Может, начать игру заново? Нет, она просто вот как... Может, перезапустить? 60 FPS все как будто в киселе в каком-то. Так, сохранить. Ладно, я перезапущу игру. Наверное, я не знаю. Свой баг пофиксил. Где можно стрелять? Может быть, в этой игре тоже можно стрелять. Мы же наверняка не знаем. Но там же есть фича, что надо перезапускать игру. Может, это не баг был. Никро. В Сифе, кстати, и завезли, что... Да, пошла нахуй эта Сифу, говёная игра. Эти 01:54 ваше любимое время. Или вы не смогли удержаться и снова выставили правильно. Я ведь знаю, как вам нравится выставлять точное время. Теперь мне интересно, точно ли сейчас 1:54 Тут нужен еще один ползунок. А? Насколько точное время? Не точно. Вы знаете, неважно, насколько точно выставлять часы, мне просто нравится выбирать настройки. Я больше узнаю о вас и о том, какие настройки вы предпочитаете. Приятно собирать данные. Вот бы нам еще ползунков, но, кажется, у меня все кончились. Может быть, я придумаю новые ползунки, чтобы больше о вас узнать. Дело плевое. Сейчас накидаю пару новинок. К следующему запуску игры должны быть готовы. Бля, лучше бы игра просто сработала нормально. Че за хуйня? Да ёпта. И что делать? И что делать? Бля.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Квадрат Малевич, ёбаный. Так. А что в этих ваших интернетах пишет? А в интернетах что-то ничего не пишут про это, кстати. А в Steam форуме? Там какой-то патч вышел. Сейчас попробую поставить тогда. Бля. Сейчас опять время потом вводить. Игра собирает данные. Ну, лишь бы не Симен. А то потом бати станешь внезапно. Так, как его поставить-то? Можно еще будет проверить кэш. Можно. Но я не могу. Стэнли начались беды со зрением. Вау. Полное погружение. Сейчас, чуваки, как бы тут нерешаемая проблема родилась. Игра просто не работает. Приоритет процесса. Так это же не в этом проблема. Это как будто освещение багует. Типа в этом фича. Так. Сейчас попробую патч накатить, который вышел. Error bugs issues. Нет, там про освещение ничего нет у них в этом FAQ. Там как бы... Так. Первый запускал, бага не было, а я не начинал игру, я вот меню запустил и все, так что я не знаю. Возможно, было. Хер его знает. Блин, а чё у вас захват слетел? Не заметил. Блять, ёб твою. Теперь у меня игра на стриме не захватывается. Кайф. И она мне все по новой предлагает сделать. Так, сейчас норм. Так, окей. Пока кошка с собакой не подружатся. Чё? Окей. Тащите ползунок, пока цифра 5 не станет цифрой 9. Бля. А что будет, если я неправильно нажму? Пока меню не поменяется. Вот. Не похуй. Какой из двух этих выдуманных слов нравится вам больше? Аккубинка или скрумтуш? Аккубинка. Не перетаскивайте ползунок. Я не слушаюсь. Вы знаете, сколько сейчас время? Да. Сейчас действительно столько времени? Сколько столько? Ну да. Что такое время? Нет. Вы скрываете мне какой-то факт про себя? Да. Помогите. Нет. Зайдите ко мне повидаться? Да. Это защита от ботов. Блять. Что за хуйня? Начать игру. Ну, в том плане, что я еще даже играть не начал. Да ёб твою мать.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Shadows. Пойду с тем форум, что там. Может, так и должно быть? А что делать-то? А что делать? Как это пофиксить? Да нет, это везде так будет, я так понимаю.
Кажется, никто из вас не...
Спасибо, год за 53. Спасибо большое.
Это вас заперли со мной!
Пыгзданчи.
Пыксданча. Спасибо большое. Блять. Это вообще ничего не меняет. Охуенно. Как древняя игра могла сломаться? Как будто текстур не хватает каких-то. Какие текстуры забыли продать. Я не знаю. Я понятия не имею, в чем проблема. Да нет, в том-то и прикол, то, что даже в GOG-версии нет ничего. Попробуй другую GOG-версию. Ее еще найти надо. Сейчас я изучаю вопрос, так сказать. Гоге. Бля, это и есть, походу, Гоге версия. Ёб EGS-версия запустится. Причем, то есть игра работает, она запускается там. Да. Чел, пусти меня проверить. Пожалуйста, пусти. То есть, вот смотрите, я запустил игру, здесь же тоже как бы меню игровое такое. И оно нормально работало. Что вы син кофнуть? Не работает. Кабинет Стэнли. Да. А потом здесь просто освещения нет. Некоторые текстуры отсутствуют. Unity. Ну и бред. Бля, и что мне делать? Удалить ее и по новой, как бы, типа, что ли? Поставить. Надо включить свет. Так у меня же он даже двери не погружается. Нет, рубукв нет. Ты думаешь, я способен совершить такую ошибку? И почему тут рубуквы? Рубуквы этой игра бы не работала. Как это связано вообще? Это никаким образом не было бы связано, считай. Блин, по микрофону ёбнул. Сейчас я попробую переустановить игру тогда. Если получится, конечно. Локоть Фарготтена. Vampire Survival. Prey. Только не Vampire Survival. Ой, я обожаю, когда, короче, что-то начинаешь... Ну ладно, хоть это в начале, да, когда что-то стримить начинаешь, а потом какие-то технические проблемы. Вообще, технические проблемы на стриме — это круто. Это круто. Так, и чё? И чего, бля? Она остановилась или она закрылась вообще? Она, походу, не ставится у меня нормально. Ой, Ой, бля, где в этом ёбаный винде журнал вообще находится? Что-то я не могу найти. Бля, ну походу не поиграть, чуваки. Походу не поиграть. Она, походу, как-то не полностью ставится. Я могу только другой, так сказать, релиз скачать. И все. На 11 винду обновиться. Думаешь, это хорошая идея? Такой замечательный винду обновляться. Unity поставить себе библиотеками. Да нет, она, скорее всего, должна в комплекте все будет идти. С другими играми же проблем не было. Я впервые с таким столкнулся. Скорее всего, просто какие-то файлы сломались при установке. А нормально не перехешировать. Го в готику. В готику? Почему в готику? Готик, да, сразу заработает. Ух, бля. Готика. Не, на самом деле, возможно, голая готика, ванила, может и запустится. Но, конечно, скорее всего, нет, на самом деле. Или из Гога релиз какой-нибудь. Если модами не обмазывать и не фиксить. Ну, в каком-нибудь шакальном разрешении в 480p. Анонс готики на стриме. Нет, я не собираюсь играть в готику. Сейчас я пытаюсь запустить. Нихуя не запускается, правда. Почему? А почему, да? Так, ну что-то там скачалось. Сейчас. Может, на другой жесткий поставить, на диск D? Это место есть. Блять, еще лагать будет, не на SSD поставишь. Нет, обновлять DirectX не нужно. Значит, еще и ставиться будет долго. А, нет, недолго. Ждем, чуваки. Пока... Если нормальный установится. Если. Опять же. Что-то я просто помню раньше в виндовом, короче, антивирусе, который у меня выскочил сейчас, где-то был журнал того, что он сделал. Я в этот раз не мог найти. Только настройки что-то нашел. Когда вообще? Где это? эту версию снести, что получается. Бля, я теперь не знаю, какая у меня, какая версия. Он мог не дать? Да, мог вполне. Он же вот среагировал сейчас, типа, когда я пытался переставить. Он вообще, по-моему, установщик закрыл в итоге, короче. Прикинь. Вполне мог. Но я вроде в первый раз нормально поставил, не было ничего такого. Ну, может, он втихую там что-то, когда проверял. Он же бывает, удаляет, реагирует. Этот Windows Defender. Он же такой. Нет, экзешники GOG-версии это ладно, еще понятно. А вот бывает, что типа у тебя что-то давно установлено, и он внезапно возьмет и удалит втихую, пока там ты АФК был, от компьютера отошел. Или просто компьютер был включен. Потыкать антивирус носом удаленной текстуры, чтобы он больше так не делал. Слушай, в принципе, идея здравая. Так. Запустить. Сейчас. А то он сейчас файлы проверяет, кстати. Здорово, зек. Посмотрим, может, это заработает. Окей. Окей. Так. Он даже настройки сохранил. Блин, а теперь картинки на стриме вообще нету. Ой, бля, почему все так сложно? Так, а какая у нас папка-то? Ну да, короче, старая версия, которую вот первую я запускал, 4 гига весит, а это типа 7,2. Прикиньте, походу пол игры просто не установилась. Я не знаю, как она работает. Тот домофон звонит. К вам пришли. Кто пришел? Непонятно кто. Прикол, да. Да ёпта. Курьер какой-то. Но это не ко мне, походу. Так, сейчас я... Обзор... Те оповещения с камеры приходят на комп. Нет, не на комп, а на телефон, приложение. Домофон, там камера, да. Курьер с текстурами. Бля, было бы неплохо. Жесть. А чё жесть? О! Работает? Блять! Опять перезапускать надо. Ой, какая проблемная игра, ё-моё. Может, ну нахуй. Бля, съебало. Так. А почему она зависла? Сейчас я проверю на Blasphemous. Blasphemous всегда захватывался. Ты его не впустил. Так я и не заказывал. Не, Blasphemous работает. Как обычно. Так что это не мои проблемы с OBS. Проблемы с этой хуйней. Это санкции. Бля, какое лагучее говно, ебаный в рот. И все, теперь вообще не захватывается. Так, окно без рамки давайте вернем. Стрим настроек. Ну что я могу сделать, если она хуйня это не работает? Ну вот она просто, видишь, как висит и все. И что, так и должно быть? Почему у вас картинка зависла? Я не понимаю. Я уже 1000 раз ее перезапустил. Сейчас я Steam перезапущу. Может, из-за Steam. Блять, теперь Steam не запускается. Короче. Я терпеть не могу стримить с захватом экрана. Потому что не альтамнишься, ничего. Он вчера уже постримил. Напишник спалил. Ладно, похуй. Да, она же захватывалась.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Ой, еще и громко. Сейчас.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was
Ну мы это, в принципе, видели.
He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push.
Или там тоже другое освещение было.
This is what employee 427 did every day of every
Чатин
month
школьников
of
по
every
IP. Наоборот, школьники
And although others might have considered
не
him
могут
so
вычислить, когда надо.
Stanley relished every moment that the order
Бля, сейчас прикиньте, опять
There
то же
was
самое
made
будет.
exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was
Там, наверное, только музыку в лучшем
confusing.
случае удастся
Shocked,
послушать.
frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk
Так, ну,
and stepped out of his office.
присутствует, только надо фоф обратно вернуть. Что-то такой рыбий глаз, а то слишком. Так. Все работает.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
Ну
simply
логично,
missed the
тогда
memo.
пол игры по сути не было, сколько 3 гига лишних. Считайте, не установилось.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Нет коворкеров. Какое здесь управление-то? Просто мышкой кликать.
Stanley went around touching every little
Всё
thing in the
потрогал,
office,
да.
but it didn't make a single difference. Nor
Кстати, по
did it
производительности.
advance the
Вроде
story
норм.
in any way.
В комнате 430 мы уже прошли, походу.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Комната отдыха. Пошел не в левую комнату.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring.
Вот
It
эти
had really
херню
been
сделали.
worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this
ты FPS посмотри, сколько у
beautifully
тебя.
constructed room.
Это не в доте
simply
херню, у
stood
тебя
here,
просто в главном
drinking
меню,
it all
скорее
in.
всего, там 500 FPS. Я вообще, зачем ты играешь в доту, бля?
But eager to get back to
Как говорится,
business,
чел ты.
Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Так вот и уволили как раз. Да, просто берешь и не играешь в доту и все. Не прыгайте, когда он двигается, это приведет к смерти. Еще к штрафу.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in
Ой,
someone
там,
else
по-моему,
can be
такая потом
difficult,
муть
but the
начнется.
fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Да, что-то там про
See it,
жену.
Stanley, your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your
Хотя
life.
ее это кто?
She's been waiting.
120 FPS рил. Ну, о чем я и говорю. Еще посмотри загрузку ГПУ, если там под сотку, то ничего удивительного. What the fuck?
That's her, Stanley. You. Oh no! You can't. Did you just unplug the phone?
Ну да.
No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible.
А там что-то то ли жена звонит, то ли кто, да, по-моему.
No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense.
Какой-то
And at no
другой.
time should you make a choice that does not
Явно я
conform
бы
to
сделал другой
rational
выбор.
logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent.
Practice.
Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most
Ну, часто
medical
такое
professionals
бывает,
recommend making at least
крокодил
8
ползет
choices
и
per day.
галстук твой
Do you
начинает
make
жевать.
more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of
пора
space,
фармить
your
альбиноров.
thoughts and problems are materially insignificant,
Ну ты, конечно,
and the
не
feeling
слабак.
should subside. At this
Пошел
time,
на путь
your
фарминга.
instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce
Надо
the
16:30
material covered
попробовать
in this
поставить.
video.
Welcome back. You may
Сломался.
have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Бульдог. This way, please. Как-то
Now that
вниз,
we know
по-моему,
your choices
попасть.
are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story.
Да, я прыгать
That
не умею
story would
только.
make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Прыжок либо потом дают, либо чё, да? Сомневаю, нет. Эх, видимо, придется идти обратно. Урон прокачивается оружие не статами. Ну, вообще статами тоже. Зависит от того, какой у тебя скилл по шмоткам. Его не было как в Stanley. А как-то спрыгнуть надо было.
Back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Плюс кольца, талисманы. Первый раз не было забора. Разве?
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine.
А пальцем
Right.
руки после заточки
When
скилл
Stanley came to a
повышается
set of
после
two open
определенных
doors, he entered the
плюсов.
door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're
3,
not too
4,
late.
5. No. Пытание в столицу. В столицу можно, по сути, супер рано прийти. Считай. И потом вернуться. Не обязательно ее проходить.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't
Не
know.
было рассказчика представить.
What's the answer?
Он
What
эту
do I
игру
do?
делал.
What do I do? What do I...
В принципе,
No, I
можно
have
не
to.
представлять.
I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Страшно.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish.
Портал
With you.
какой-то.
You, who thought you were so clever.
Ха-ха.
Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny?
No,
You
да.
just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it.
А, это тот самый
That thought
сужающийся
hadn't
дом,
even
да?
occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of
Вот
you.
бы... А знаете, что было бы смешнее? Если кто-нибудь сделал такую игру,
My story.
в которую ты идешь и...
If you'd just
Все
gone through the door on the
сужается.
left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and
Вот
been
умора-то была бы,
victorious.
да?
It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make
Ой.
it behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
По-моему, там будет потом момент, что в итоге одна дверь
No!
останется.
Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Да что такое?
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means
Что
choosing
происходит?
responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead.
Он
and you'll be
4-то и
fine.
телепортирует
All right.
меня.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door
Было
on
бы
his
еще
left.
смешнее. Так там, я так понимаю, весь рофл и мем про то, что он постоянно про это запоминал и рассказывал это уже 10 тысяч миллионов раз. И все. На деле-то нихуя смешного нет.
No!
Как и момент, по сути, не смешной нихуя. Вчера зашел в оригинал, чтобы ачивку за 5 лет получить. Так вы, получается, по правилам действуете. Спасибо, Никра, за 3 сотки. Спасибо большое. Сап шуточный. Да ладно, мог бы. Ну ладно, спасибо в любом случае. Не хочешь на Бусти подписываться? Спасибо большое. Спасибо большое за поддержку. Суп, какой суп? Борщик. Но не красненький.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Broom closet. Closet.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
А я правильно помню, что там то ли что-то пистолет будет, то ли что, не? Или у меня перепутались какой-то с другой игрой, типа хоррора. Спидранить будешь? Кого? Налог вернули, небось, обойдут. Донатов тоже есть, ну да.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a
I'm
voice
the most
receiver next to
expensive
it.
boss.
Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out.
Кабинет поменяли,
Stanley
да?
had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Ладно, я пошутил.
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Так я нажимаю. Please speak clearly into the
I'm sorry,
receiver.
is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Так а я подхожу, нажимаю, ничего не происходит.
Okay, fine, you're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to
в
suddenly
том, что
decide
Стэнли
you
не
have better
умеет
things to
говорить.
do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows
Но это
for his
никак не
choices.
выражается.
He knows what it means to take a
По телефону он
story
тоже не
seriously.
говорил с женой,
If you didn't want
кстати.
to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You...
Скорее,
When
Half-Life.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello?
Hello.
Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
The End.
I need you to walk through the door. Are you
Конец.
listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is
Кевин
important.
Брайтинг.
The story
Рассказчик.
needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together.
Разработка для
I accept
приставок.
whatever you do. I simply need you to
Мне
take that
нравится
step
слово
forward,
приставки.
please. Choose.
Игра создана с помощью Unity.
This is more important than you can ever know. I need this.
Вкусно.
The story needs it.
Unity.
So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay.
Команда поддержки Valve.
Okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Так. Теперь по новой.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Я не помню, здесь вот что-то есть у них на компах.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
И как вот сюда попасть? Сразу, там тоже, по-моему, что-то коридоры какие-то. Пум-пум-пум. Коридор похож на коридор из Left 4 Dead. Четыре B3. B3.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room.
Показалось,
What a
что-то как будто
gorgeous,
подвигалось здесь.
gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
О, до сюда не ходил. Можно спрыгнуть там, да, теперь
Stanley was
попробовать.
so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone
Сюда.
else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others?
Так,
Are you
карточка
that
нужна.
convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you
Danger,
something
опасность
beautiful.
везде.
Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Ну, кстати, это тот выход, который мы видели. Как раз бим получается.
Now listen
Красное
carefully,
и
this is
синее.
important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Карточку заблокировали. Уже уволили, получается, задним
Perhaps you
числом.
misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
А я хочу синюю.
I still don't think we're communicating
Ясно.
properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine. go
Red
ahead,
door.
Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road?
Да,
You
хочу
chosen
знать.
world. Don't let me stop you.
Там.
See? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this
Заглушка.
section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I'd written out specifically for you?
Всего лишь таблетку синюю.
Time into that because I did. And in the end it was all for nothing because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees?
Дерево навыков.
Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far.
Розовый бан.
Let me take a
Как
stab
мистер
at a
Розовый.
new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option.
Ого.
This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Office Space.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about
Напишите
your
ваш опыт.
experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more
Ставлю
choices?
единицу.
Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback
Привет,
here.
Сергей.
A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself.
Ну, 12 из 10 нельзя поставить, поэтому единица.
That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Так, новая версия. Worldwide Leaderboard. Интересно. 21,3% игроков пропустили интро. 3% игроков выбрали синюю дверь. Интересно, это насколько фейковое.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
Причем игра про четвертую стену и юмор. И про обход правил.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours.
4 часа.
So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep
4
notes
часа.
on your experience.
Еще такой мерзкий звук. Это не фридился владельцу игры? Вроде нет. Не, сори.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because
Да он
you
не
hate
горит
babies
даже.
or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know
15
what to
литрами
do. I'm
чая вряд ли
out of
здесь
ideas.
хватит 15
I can't
литров,
think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me.
чтобы потушить все
I'm not
это.
even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable.
Игра плохая.
Okay, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see.
Ты чё, Максик, ожидал чего-то бесплатного в нашей жизни?
Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Ого!
Aha, fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley?
Это
What's
же
our
этот, блядь,
backstory?
как ее там?
What is our motivation?
Overwatch?
Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man.
Hammerwatch, Firewatch.
From up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of
А
twisted
этого не было,
erotic
по-моему,
purpose.
раньше. Не, я не включил перевод надписи. А надо, что ли? Типа... Вот это, что ли? Метки объектов? Давай добавлю. А зачем? А что за подписи? Я не знаю, цветных. Ну ладно.
Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity.
По-моему, этого не было раньше. Тогда и эта игра и не вышла еще.
And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Ты не кроссовер такой. Firewatch. Может, тут покажут Делайлу хотя бы?
No, it can't be.
Куда идти?
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
Ой.
Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You really wandered off into that.
Именно перс в истории. Так как это можно забыть, блин? А тебе там 5 часов на ухо пиздит. Все помнят.
Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game.
Давай в доту.
Something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Что за игра со стенами?
Okay.
Не Майнкрафт, надеюсь? Что это такое? Ой, это Rocket League, что ли?
See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Недавно видел всякие гифки, видосы, наткнулся. Типа там
exactly?
супер сейф. И это самая странная игра, наверное, которую я видел за последнее время. Ну, она супер старая уже, Rocket League, но...
Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Вау. Вау. А надо было в какие ворота забивать? Похуй.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better? Hold on. What are you doing?
А я не знаю. Ого.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Ой. Ой. Где это мы? Тоже в какой-то игре? Кусок какой-то игры. Но это я не узнаю. Тут коридоры и ремонт. Это офисы до ремонта. До того, как они начали работать здесь. Первая версия Stanley как мод была. Она была прям типа модом, что ли? Она же вообще, по-моему, на сорсе была, да? Я правильно помню? Офис разработчика. Вроде да. Или врунишка. Этот... Нахера они вообще на Unity перенесли? И тоже из-за консоли, чтобы, типа, делаешь на Unity и сразу на все платформы делаешь. Синий, чё? Вот было Stalker 2 встроили в игру. Нельзя встроить то, чего нет и никогда не выйдет. Считай. Выглядит как на сорсе. Но может быть какой-то есть импорт. Так.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be
Могу
back.
проспойлить. Да нет, пока давай здесь потусуемся. Посмотрим, поспоминаем. Наверное... Ну, это вот тоже, по сути, новый контент сейчас был. То, что в Firewatch точно не было. Либо я не натыкался на это. По сути, уже вот... Новый контент. Как-то странно оно все же закончилось.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Вот, новый контент. Так и написано.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Блин, ну как... Горле пересохнет от кашля.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Это я хотел
Feeling
заспойлерить.
away
Жесть,
with
спойлеры.
disbelief, Stanley
Подсобка.
decided to go up to his boss. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Я помню, что здесь если сидеть, ждать, то что-то он зарейджит или что-то типа того.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Или что-то действительно тут есть. Не
It
помню.
was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Но вроде ничего нет. Либо, может быть, в этом руте нет. Cannot
Are you
end.
really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm
Чтоб тебя
genuinely
позлить.
confused.
Когда зарубят с пацанами в Back
You
for
do
Blood.
realize there's no choice or
А что, она
anything
бесплатная,
here,
что ли, стала?
If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have
Почему
had a
Back for
reason
Blood?
for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Я посмотрел недавно видос Кроупкэта про Back for Blood и Left 4 Dead 2.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get
Дошли
the
до
broom
концовки
closet
подсобки.
ending?
Концовка
The broom
подсобки
closet
моя
ending was
любимая."
my favorite." I
Yeah.
hope your friends find this concern.
В смысле, что на психа? Ну и, короче, там видос был, и для тех, кто не смотрел, вкратце то,
Stanley
что
was fat and ugly and really rich.
эти разработчики, которые
He
потом
probably
делали
got
Wolf
the
и
job
Back for
because of a
Blood,
family connection. That's how
чисто
stupid
Valve,
he
короче,
is.
все
That or
затащило.
with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and
Стэнли
hookers.
наркоман снимает шлюх. Жесть. То, что разработчики пиздоболы, когда говорили, что Back for Blood это разработчиков Left 4 Dead.
You're dead. You got to this broom closet,
Ты умер.
explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible
У вас
thing is
было
to
когда-то
alert
вот такое,
someone
что вы
nearby
настолько
so as
уставали,
to ensure
но
that
сидели
your
за
body is
компом
taken care of
и засыпали
before
на
it begins to
клавиатуре? Или вот такого
decompose?
никогда не было, я не знаю.
Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey
Или, может,
to any
напиться
number of
надо?
your countless human physiological vulnerabilities.
От Valve одна игра в
It's
10 лет.
indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species.
Ну,
Please
нет, не
remove
совсем.
their corpse
Алекс,
from the area
Underlords.
and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand
Больше.
basic first-person video game mechanics and filling
Артефакт.
them in on the history of narrative
Артефакт.
tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this
Было
game
такое.
is not lost on them.
НГ был, когда проходил Портал пьяный, стал прибит из Гладос. Не, ну в Портале, в принципе, можно, так сказать, уснуть, потому что там сложно. Underlords. Да я понимаю, что это я единственный человек.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids.
Этот,
Perhaps there's a monkey
я единственный
nearby
человек,
you can
который
hand
помнит
controls
эту
to.
игру.
The fish, fungus. Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Все, набаловались.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But
Машина.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he
Слушай,
believed
вообще я бы,
everyone
наверное,
had
не
backed
отказался
him.
от такого.
His boss would think he was crazy.
Артефакт, ну артефакт я
And then something
скипнул.
occurred to Stanley. Maybe,
1, 2,
he thought to
B4.
himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as
Артефакт
Stanley
сразу был
pondered this,
калом.
he began to make other strange observations.
Но это я так говорю, потому что мне халявная бета не досталась, конечно.
Why did doors close automatically
Мне нет
behind him
ног.
wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at
Артефакт
last, he came to
Аксера,
the
блядь.
conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming!
Я сплю.
He yelled. This is all a dream.
Когда врыв в новую игру Близов,
To have finally found an
какую,
answer,
Immortal
an
или
explanation.
вот этот высер мобильный?
His coworkers weren't
Хотя и
actually
то
wrong.
высер
He
мобильный.
wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after
Шашки
all.
полол, да, потому что они, у них бабок дохуя. Они и рекламу покупают, и турниры, и на Твиче бабок башляют тоже.
So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Я лечу.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical
Я реально летел
starfield,
только что.
and it too appeared. It was so much fun. And Stanley
В лол
marveled
играют,
that he
да.
had still not woken
Есть
up.
такое. В основном это
How was he
лоловские
remaining
стримеры,
so
действительно.
lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself.
Она сама по себе еще странная.
Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Ну, сама все
Now
как
the
игра,
voice was
имею в виду.
describing itself being
Шашки
considered by
ловские.
Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams,
Высер
the truth
мобильный.
was that, of course,
Так он ж только
this
на
was not a
мобилах.
dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes
1D, да,
gently,
там?
and he invited himself to wake up.
Ой.
He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one.
Да открой глаза.
Let me wake up, he thought to himself.
Видно, что
I'm
что-то
through
видно.
with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me
Хочу
continue
нажимать
pushing the
кнопочки.
buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Окей. Beginner's Guide? По-моему, нет.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Немножко затянутый момент, по-моему, конкретно.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on
Не,
a
может,
day
проходил,
like
если
another.
это тот,
She
который
rose,
на 2 часа.
dressed, gathered
Но,
her
по-моему, это не
belongings,
Beginner's Guide
and
был.
walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself.
Я
and then
что-то с
collapsed
другим
dead on
путаю.
the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn
Симулятор
to go
ходьбы.
call for an ambulance, for
Можно в
just a
окно
few
выпасть в
brief
начале, в
moments,
текстуру.
she considered the strange
Ну, это
man.
тоже типа того.
He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she
Просто
remembered
дверь
the
офиса
meeting she
Стэнли
had
закрыть, не
scheduled for
выходить из
that
комнаты,
day.
не
The
совершать
very
ошибки.
important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Пим.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me.
Все, обратно не
And
открывается
here I
дверь.
can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed. Then days.
I hate
Had years gone by?
Mondays.
He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon,
Я думал, это
very soon
шутка.
now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be
Про закрытие
told
дверь?
what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it
Суд
comes.
Деппа и Хорт и правда стримят здесь. На Твиче. Я какой-то клип видел, да, на Reddit. Я зашел на лайвстрим Fails. И там типа челики сидят, смотрят. Я такой, ну окей.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
А про окно я,
No
кстати,
matter
хз,
how
какое
hard
окно.
Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Потому что здесь вон вроде все закрыты, и они просто светятся. Правая? Через стол? Вот это типа? А как? Вот так?
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and
Отошел стрим,
unique place
уже в
to
окно
be?
выходит.
Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in?
Это новый экспириенс.
Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Тебе надоел этот прикол?
Well,
Да.
I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are
Привет,
appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible
Бля, чё он
and
там
see
щас
how
делает?
long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley who
Надо просто начать игру заново нажать. Не обязательно перезапускать прям.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
Я
decided
думал,
to go
хуйню
to the meeting
какую-то.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Куда? Он же сказал, будет издеваться. Не хочу, чтобы надо мной издевались. И чё, в новый контент пойдем? Я не дослушал. Блин, сорян. Да. О. Тоже новый контент. Жалюзи какие-то.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Налево вот еще не ходили.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on
И
track.
вниз не ходили.
But
Загрузка.
Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left.
No.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Да.
No, not the right.
Издевайся.
Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
И грузовик.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Упс.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так, а где там новый контент-то был?
When Stanley... Wait, what?
Вот.
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be...
Тут сейчас, видимо, пока еще рут не закончился.
Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
Да нет, не успел.
Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then.
Когда интересно появится первая игра, которая будет в реальном мире, так сказать, с помощью какой-нибудь нейросетки меняться действительно. Там в реальном времени сидит нейросетка, просто весь сюжет меняет сразу. Да и в целом геймплей может быть. Да и ты сам нейросеть, короче. А? Прикольная тема. Еще тайдом рандомайзера Elden Ring. Я думал, что Elden Ring надо убрать в долгий ящик, так сказать. Либо рогалик, но это не то. Это заранее заданный набор все равно. А тут прям, чтобы что-то, супер менялось. Сгорел? Да нет, просто, народу уже супер неинтересно. Я-то вообще нормально. После Elden Ring Souls разобрались. В смысле, Elden Ring настолько хорош или просто устал от всего? Просто разонравились можно по-разному, считай, понять.
Okay, yep. it's worse.
Все,
I
дверей
might be
нет.
remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
В принципе, если в Elden Ring 100 часов наиграть, можно слишком присытиться, так сказать. Особенно ББ. ББ на ПК нет, поэтому этой игры не существует для многих. Elden Ring не сильно понравился, и как-то слишком то же самое. Я бы не сказал, что то же самое. Ты прошел в итоге? Тебе раз не понравилось, просто дропнул.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't
Плюс
recognize this
начинал не
place at all.
смог.
Is this the
Ну,
story?
нормально в итоге,
I don't
часов
think
200,
so.
наверное.
I can't quite
Плюс-минус
recall, but I
наиграл.
believe my
Может,
story
меньше.
took place in an office building.
С разными этими
Is
всеми
that correct?
прохождениями, с челленджем.
Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Победа!
Congratulations!
Сколько
I know you put in a
ПТС за
lot of
победу
hard
дадут?
work, and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win.
Нихера я не
Some
старался.
people win fair and square, and this was
Старался.
not one of those situations.
Я тренировался.
Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Дропнул, сколько раз дропал.
All right,
Stanley
I've got a
Parable
solution.
Adventure Line.
This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
А вот это закрыто было, да? Раза 4. Потом возвращался. Как бывший.
You see, the line knows where the story
Которым
is. It's
возвращаешься.
over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's
Тут можно
subjective
несколько пройти.
experience of that existence, right?
Бумажка.
Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there.
Вопрос.
Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Хуя себе веселая музыка. Скорее VR можно над Safe for Work поставить моды. Они для этого и сделаны. Конечно. А куда пропал перевод, кстати, надписи?
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern.
Папоротник.
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Должен запомнить, сколько на нем листков.
Wait, what? We're back at the office?
Папоротник.
No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ты папоротник? Нет, это не папоротник. А ты чё, VR разжился, что ли, год? А сейчас в окно можно? Можно, наверное, но в чем смысл? Это же уже полученная концовка, по сути. Нет, ну теперь планирую. Да, все, что я видел по Скайриму, все эти, так сказать, моды великолепные. Не особо-то они... Ну, выглядит не очень как-то, по-моему. Какое-то все пластилиновое. Опять мы здесь.
No, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Рестарт. Так, нам нужен папоротник.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're
Моды на
intelligent
второй,
people,
третий
right?
резик.
Why can't we make up
Слушай,
our
ну
own
вообще
story?
да, да.
Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How
Там,
about
насколько я знаю, даже отдельный уже клиент игры есть, как бы под такой заточенный под все это. Для любителей эстетики, так сказать. Позволяет трогать всех за руки, тягать мечи, выхватывать из ножен. А зачем для этого VR нужен? Можно на VR не тратиться, в принципе. Почему их не стримишь? Моды нельзя стримить. Моды нельзя стримить так-то, по правилам. Такой тематики.
Oh, no, not you again, Stanley. I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Понятия не имею, Гуд. Я не являюсь, так сказать, посетителем данного сайта. Репорт на воды ПДС. Но там же игровые моды.
From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
Походи кругами.
So I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin.
Да я сразу
so starting
определился.
from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another
Я чувствую, что с тем, куда вся движется, вся вот эта культура, чего можно, чего нельзя, в один прекрасный момент, мне кажется, и моду запретят. Скажут, что это типа... Или надо будет 10 разрешений там. Запутанная концовка. 5-й перезапуск. Вы играли запутанную концовку в течение 17 минут. 18.
It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes?
Стэнли умирает.
Determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing. Wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be.
А у нас какой перезапуск был? Третий, получается.
I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you
Тут
agree?
есть стул.
I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Ебать. Че это за хуйня была?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Папоротник, папоротник, папоротник. Помните про папоротник? А я помню. Или в новый контент пойти. Или папоротник. Там, кстати, на линию видно теперь.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Теперь или 8 раз с этой концовкой надо разобраться.
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Можно еще вот здесь спрыгнуть.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Good job, Stanley.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were.
А телефон был здесь вот
Just a
этот,
matter of
кстати?
time.
Just a matter of time. Личное дело какое-то торчит. Awaiting input. Input received. Типа несколько раз еще так надо. Good job. Jobbing.
When Stanley came to a set of 2
Ёпин.
open doors, this was
Надо
not
5
the
компов
correct way to the
найти.
meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the
Одну компу
employee
на
lounge
один трек. Ну,
first,
я так и
just to
подумал.
admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded.
Вон еще
butterflies
лежит
in his
как будто
stomach,
папка какая-то.
giddy in a way he had never known, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his
Еще
left.
телефон. Папоротник.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
А что будет, если запустить, но не
Look,
поехать на
Stanley,
ней?
I think perhaps
Софтлока
we've
придется
gotten off on the
прыгать.
wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration
за это
for
есть.
others?
Ну,
Are you
ачивки
that
такое.
convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you.
И
to
он
show
опять
you
сейчас то же
something
самое будет
beautiful.
пиздеть, да?
Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ну, в красное не
Oh,
пошел.
thank God you are willing to listen to me. You see
Красный.
that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time.
Пойди в красную
The
пошел.
problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop.
Слушай,
We
чат.
would both be so much
То
happier if we
рассказчик
just
управляет мной, то чат.
stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Свет. Ой. Ну и solution. Опять прыгать.
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes.
Ого.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley... No, wait. Where are you going?
Опять какую-то разъебанную комнату.
Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
Игра форсит тебя спрыгнуть. Но, видимо, выбора нет.
No!
Но я не умер.
Thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please... No. No, no, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Я просто прыгаю.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? My God. Is this really how much you dislike my
Да,
game?
я тебе единицу
You'll throw
поставил.
yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along.
Он с каждым разом все медленнее
Guess that was
становится, или
too much
это
to ask.
такой дебаф?
It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
А мог бы дать просто мне какие-нибудь крылья, чтобы по сюжету мог летать, и все. Я бы не падал. Не повторяйте в своей квартире. Ну, если вы живете на первом этаже, то, в принципе, я думаю, что ничего плохого не может произойти. Ну, смотря откуда, конечно. Но лучше, да, не повторять.
Is it over?
Ой.
It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Блин, он такой грустный стал. Впервые за всю игру. Замечтался. Ну, могу, хоть на секундочку.
Just a step through this door.
Я просто мечтатель, как говорил Джей Ди.
If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
New content.
New content? What does that mean? New content.
New content. Блин, сейчас будем как в Half-Life, что ли, ехать. Рельсы какие-то.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Домашний компьютер. Если не домашний компьютер.
Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Еще игры.
Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this
Deluxe.
sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Deluxe content. Пожалуйста, пожалуйста. Будьте, так сказать, добры.
Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Пока что мы как будто в тюрьме какой-то. А?
Is
Сломался.
it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Действительно,
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Да, контент. О, прям так сидит. Ну, это стена просто. Jump Circle. Осталось прыжков 36.
The jump circle?
Ого, мы можем прыгать? Вы говорили, что нельзя прыгать. Жалко, сейчас на Твиче нельзя пошутить, ну, в целом, из ситуации про прыжки. Но думаю, люди поняли, про что. Все, новый контент пройден. А что если хочу больше? Блин, и все, и больше не дает прыгать, прикиньте. Так.
Is that it?
Допрыгались.
Surely that's not all the new
Сука.
content. There has to be something else, right?
Ну это, походу, вот и будет вся эта мета-ирония.
Elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes.
Сейчас придем, а там 300 прыжков надо сделать.
Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Спасибо, что попробовали новые материалы.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always.
А прыгать нельзя там больше. Давай прыгать. Блин. Ой. Ой. What the fuck? А чё, кружка там? То же самое.
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Да жопу?
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork. Oh, never mind. You're not a dork.
Взял, обозвал меня, блин. Давакином каким-то. Загрузки, даже вентиляции.
Unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be. Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Skyrim, наконец-то.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Зона памяти. А папоротник-то будет, не? Это самое важное.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Рофлами, но раньше, по крайней мере, рынок инди действительно был, наверное, все-таки из людей, которые делали просто игру. Это, по-моему, бафта, да? Да. Причем просто налеплено, им не дали. Один свент, коробочка. Славное было время. Прогулка в прошлое. Улыбайтесь, все уже случилось. $1. Целый $1. Там Last of Us? Ну, в том году что было? Да, Last of Us точно. Last of Us in the category story. Типа за сюжет, короче, Last of Us получил. Не, ну Last of Us, блин, на самом деле сюжет все-таки пиздец был. Для видеоигр того времени. Go outside. Не играть вот за 5 лет. Unachievable. Impossible to get this achievement. Номинанты всякие там. Сегодня выходит новая игра, авторы снизили планку. Stanley Parable ставит перед выбором.
And over here is where I keep reviews
Обзоры.
of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games
10 из 10 от
10 out of
Destructoid.
10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley
Обзор
Parable
в начале
was.
был.
It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk
Персона не заметил,
with an
конечно.
hour of new elevator content.
Персону не заметил здесь. Короче, дрочь саму на себя сейчас происходит в целом. Такая действительно мета-ирония. Делал ремонт из зоны памяти. Закрыто. Person of the Year. Статуэтки этих. Ваш номер 29.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It
9
didn't
из
need
10.
anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Тут не пройти.
These were simpler times, Stanley,
Вот здесь открыл зато.
but I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before.
Steam.
What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews
Отзывы
from
Steam онлайн-сервисе по
the
продаже
online
игр.
video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even
Сейчас
imagine
будет
what's been
разъёбное.
collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Блин, прикиньте, да, реально, ты такой просто написал рецуху, а потом ее в игру вставили. Ебать. Хотя не знаю, насколько это реальный отзыв или нет.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley
Почти все
Parable, but the
отредачили.
game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Steam Reviews. Не смешной рассказчик. Тут размыто все. О, еще один.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy, honestly.
Привет, мама в телевизоре, да? Типа вот
This
так
is
что
actually quite
сделали?
shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it, well, I always thought it did.
Я просто делал бы, наверное, скрин и такой гордился потом, как царь во дворца. Смотрите, какой важный курица.
These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record.
Хотя, с другой стороны, если люди оставили негативный отзыв, то им игра не понравилась, поэтому им похер, наверное. Это большая часть должна быть. Интересно, ровно настолько, чтобы поспрашивать в чате, а не то, чтобы это искать. Совсем обленился Микро. Еще один отзыв. Cookie 9. Постоянно приходится ждать. Это да, это правда. 10 часов наиграл, чё?
A skip button. Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Офис закрылся. В 2013 был офис. Тут новое. Сидеть в компьютере, листать ВКонтактик.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on.
А если я не буду перематывать?
The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue. And it goes something like this. The story and the choices.
Нет, я передумал.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal... Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12
12 часов болтал, типа.
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer.
Они просто в прогрессии увеличиваются.
Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from
Как же
every
дыра?
angle. I've checked
Какая
every
кротовая.
one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking...
Концептуально как-то ты вышло. То же самое вроде, по сути. Ну как?
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved?
Все? Он исчез? Ого. Бип-бип. Это пожарная сигнализация.
But But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said.
Он сам добавил эту кнопку. В клике там у нее же, по-моему, куча была функций, как бы. У пульта. Или он там только перематывал. Вчера селся, развлекался. Можете тоже кнопку добавить? Перемотки до смешного момента развлекания.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Фильм полный кринж, не, мне супер понравился. Там даже драма была, я погрустил немножко. За почему год. Но я смотрел его тогда, когда он вышел в кино, я смотрел, помнишь? Вроде как. Привет, Доги.
Is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Там залуплено, я сейчас услышал луп. Пам-пам-пам. Что-то нас затапливает, кстати. Судя по всему. Ой. Ой. Когда начальник срывал. Это я уже не помню. Я помню, что там что-то он напортачил, так сказать. Если про клик, про фильм. Ого. SCP. Бля, SCP такая школьная хуйня. Просто пиздец. Ее школьники любят супер. Хз, что там интересного. По-моему, кал какой-то. Да, как родилась, так и умерла. Хз, что тут SCP-шного, да? Думаешь, это лаборатория с исследованием какая-то? С монстрами всякими? И заговорами? Да вроде нет. Ничего такого. Кнопка? Все, кнопка сломалась, походу. Ой, как светло. Ой, мы в пустыне. Или в пустыне. Это очень странная пустыня. Если это пустыня. Куда идти? Чел не может определить, телевизор ли он или радиоприемник. Я чебурек. Нажимает кнопку. Там кнопки были. Блин, а что делать-то? Куда идти, интересно? Ой. Все, конец. It's never the end, it's never the end.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Input received. О! Новый контент.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Может, я это пошел. В шкаф залезал? Нет. В подсобку, да.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable.
И там в
and about
оригинале
how
достаточно
roundly
петель
disappointing
всяких.
this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Ого!
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up.
Новый опыт.
Why there are so many possibilities.
Testing two
It could go in
printers at the
so
same
many
time.
different directions. This
И не
is what
напечаталось.
fans have truly been asking for.
New Mac. Новая чашка. Инвестор, добро пожаловать в выставку для
Calling it the
инвесторов.
Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe. Don't
Прям
you
как
think?
Overwatch 2, да?
Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Инновации. Песня какая-то. Телефон новый купил для Диабло. А что, там новый телефон нужен еще? Она же на ПК будет. Иронично, что они одновременно. Может быть, в этом и была задумка. Ну, там и так было ясно уже давно. Да и в целом эта тенденция, видимо, прослеживается не просто так. Sequel ideas. Stanley can draw access. Stanley get boons for... Бля, зума нет. Короче, идеи всякие. Вот, кидание топоров до всяких таких тем. Новый контент вышел. Новый контент, часть 2 внутри. Что такое TSP? Stanley Parable, типа сокращение.
Now, to be clear,
Ну, Ультра
I haven't
Deluxe
quite
точно за
nailed
бабки
down what
продается, она не
exactly the Stanley
бесплатная.
Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them.
Хорошие сиквелы. Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Batman Arkham Asylum 2, в скобочках City, Divinity Original Sin 2, Doom 2, Aladdin Return of Jafar, Dark Souls 2. Что с ебалом? Что с ебалом, хейтеры DS2? А? Я вот, например, из этих всех игр не знаю разве что Aladdin 2 Return of Jafar. Не знаю, что за Return of Jafar, конечно. Но на самом деле это очевидно рофл. Специально Dark Souls 2 засунули, потому что его не любят на самом деле. Как и Doom 2, в принципе, тоже, наверное. Я знал, что TS2 лучше, чем первый. Конечно, она лучше, потому что там цифра 2 в названии. Красиво, кстати, логотип получается такой из названия. 2. Чик-чик. Doom 2 лучше Doom 1. Говорят, что это то же самое на самом деле, поэтому что это тоже хейтили. Отсылка к Elden Ring. Дорогие инвесторы, на выставку сюда. Dishonored 2 лучше, чем Dishonored 1. Ну, тут его нет, так что нет, не лучше в списке. Новые фичи, новинки. Новые материалы. Ого, автобас. Автобас. Выставка 2. Окей. Ого. Кнопка с именем игрока, запустившего игру. Новая. Опасная кнопка, на самом деле.
What do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
Джим это как зал, типа? В качалке? Боссов за Джим?
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now?
Прикольно, нажимаешь кнопку, а там говорят Джим.
I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on? Jim. See, if you'd only played along, that would have been your name the button says. But no. Instead, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away.
Jim.
Нет. Он спиздил у меня кнопку Джима. Отдай, сука. Вор. Вот так вот. Новые фичи удаляются из игр. Поэтому метро было удалено из Киберпанка, потому что люди очень много катались в плейтесте на метро, и главному геймдизайнеру это не понравилось. Джим Баттон. Был такой мультик, да.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2.
Оптимизацию тоже удалили. Ну да. No screenshots. Пожалуйста, не скриншоте. Новый офис. И 99. Красный, новый оранжевый. Новый ретрейсинг. Свежий с пылу с жара такой же, только лучше сиквел. Новые функции, новые идеи. Кнопка с именем игрока. Прыжковый круг. Бесконечные дара. Коллекционные предметы. Она не кончается. Попробую заскриншотить.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh, well.
Ну все, DLC
I
покупать.
suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
А, если бы я не потратил. Я нажал кнопку скриншота. Наш малыш совсем вырос. Так, там телефон зазвонил. Эпилог. Это в игре было? Ну да. Вроде как да. За телефон схватился. На это и, видимо. Типа ты, короче, сделал скриншот и сразу тебе звонят. Поняли, поняли. FBI open up. Чемпион мира по настройкам. No screenshots, вот.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I
Print
think
screen.
that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one
Я
you
выбрал
actually
12.
really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
О, сука. Так, и чё? Еще раз скриншот. Нет, не
Or
работает.
actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on. Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes.
Мерч. Компендиум, новый контент. Компендиум это да. В кнопку мы ходили. Что-то 2 как-то затесалось. Какая-то особая. Что делать-то? Так кто попасть, он там пиликает. Попасть в эту хуйню. Дыру в дыру-то да, я еще в коллектабл сниму. Ой.
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Ого. 0 из 6, 1 из 6. Собери всех их. Ну,
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Вообще да, полный кал. Несите его сюда. Ну ебало. Бесплатная ачивка. Тяните за рычаг.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist.
Не работает.
Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm
Тоже
not
сломано,
Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Глупые геймеры хотят, чтобы им все сразу сделали. Так не бывает. Можно ли себе что-то еще интересное сделать? Вроде нет. Чего? Что происходит? Че? Что-то это баг теней, походу.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
That's new. Там мы были. Прыжковые были. Успокаивающее ведро. Там точно не были. Что за ведро? Надеюсь, это сральное ведро?
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket.
Да.
You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on.
Ну как мне получить ведро? О.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body.
Нет, ничего не чувствую, это
Can I
ведро.
say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to
Может,
go
я
on
сейчас
and
буду
on,
как
yeah?
этот, как волк, который яйца
All this
собирает
and
в
more
ведро.
await you in the Stanley Parable too.
Я бы добавил такую мини-игру. И что теперь, мне всегда с ведром ходить? Кайф. Теперь у меня
Does
есть
anyone give
ведро.
out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a
Ну,
video game?
объективно
That
красивый.
really should be an award if it isn't already.
Оцинковано, надеюсь. Кнопка с именем игрока мы были. Infinite Hall? Там не были. Бесконечная рана не кончается. Не кончается. Так.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right.
Как выйти из него
Infinite
тогда?
falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions.
В МК-4, по-моему, когда ты умирал, тебя сбрасывали вот в такую хуйню.
You can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue on.
Нажмите G, чтобы вернуться на поверхность.
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the
Но у меня есть ведро, и я лечу вниз.
spectrum of things.
В принципе, да. Куда торопиться?
Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends
Шутка
on
про
your
бывшее
definition
опять
of infinity.
неплохо заходит
From
сюда,
one
да?
perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever.
Тут
I
бычков
think the
накидал.
issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal
Встреча в
person
2.
actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to
Почти
just call the
бесконечно.
hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top
А
of
если
the
я не
hill and
согласен?
move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Допустим, я не согласен. Но, видимо, в данном случае не будет ничего. Да?
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Так. Кстати, больше ни одной фигурки. Прыгни еще раз. Думаешь, это имеет смысл? Нет, неохота обратно возвращаться. Так там то же самое же будет, не? Имей. Да я просто ушел оттуда. Он же не умеет бегать. Зря смеялся с тем, что слушает чат. Так, стоп. Здесь еще не был. Выход.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready
Ну
to
да,
move
у
on
меня
now?
ведро есть. Конечно. Я доволен. Пришел на выставку и ушел с ведром. Нет, в этот раз я нажал кнопку скриншот, ничего не произошло.
Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay.
Ты падаешь в дыру, в которой надо собирать
The Stanley Parable 2.
штучки. Угу. Хуета.
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley?
Теперь
This
тут две
isn't a
дыры.
coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more
Вот бы
than
дыра
anything
уже.
to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Может, она и сужалась. Смотря какая и чья. Ого. Начать игру. То есть теперь они вставили это все в оригинальную игру или что?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was
Теперь тут есть
employee
шарики.
number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley.
Вышла вторая часть.
Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits,
да нет, вообще времени не было, вообще ничего не
he
смотрел.
got up from his desk and stepped out of his
Обычно,
office.
когда я уже иду, типа, такой, ну, отдыхать, и... или уже сильно спать хочется, поэтому... Смотрю какой-то вообще ересь,
All of his
дурость,
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
и все.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Прям, чтобы серьезно сесть посмотреть. Тематика с офисом похожа. Пока что я даже не начинал
Stanley felt
еще.
the bucket calling to him.
Ведро
Begging him to
зовет.
pick it up. Why
Где?
was he not doing it?
Не понял. Подождите, где ведро, блядь? Ведро зовет. Где? А, вот.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Не сериал офиса, а с офисом туда. Да, я понял. Про что ты?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it
Теперь тут
truly
была
was.
история про ведро, короче.
Never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Вердикт
Stanley took the
затянутая
door on his
хуета.
left to go back to the meeting room.
Блин. Ведро есть. Но это, да, не киберспортивное.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Я сейчас спрыгну, все по новому начнется.
Good, said the bucket.
Фига не
Now ride the
раскинули.
lift all
Да
the way
народ
to
уже
the
везде
top.
заебал
There's
писать, что
something
там
up there I
клиффхенгером
need you to do.
заканчивается.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Везде, нигде не наткнешься на комментарии про этот сериал. Везде люди, которые посмотрели, такие типа, бля, чё
In here,
там.
Said the bucket.
go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Есть еще сериал «Извне» с актером из Lost как раз. Да, его тоже думал посмотреть.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke.
Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket.
Говорящее ведро.
Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I
Жду
mess up
стримера
the
ведро.
joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker?
Была же бабка, которая в сковородку стучала. Значит, нужно в ведро
I wish
стучать.
I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully...
5 лет, походу, будет выходить. Сейчас такие сериалы, что они столько не живут, по-моему. Большинство.
What is comedic timing?
Ебать.
What is comedic timing? How does it work?
Ты вспомнил
How long
про
should it
бабку.
last?
Такое
How can
забудешь
it be
сразу.
used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds?
Из ведра можно много чего сделать. Можно шлем, как минимум. На нем можно сидеть, если перевернуть его. Что еще? Его можно просто катать вперед. Ну и стучать в него можно, да? Так, надо поднять руку.
To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor.
Симпсоны какие-то, кстати. Знаете, что в Симпсонах было-то? Помните?
When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, I'm Dunny with the funny.
Вот и шутейки, конец. Смешно было, пиздец. Ты не шути, так я и не пошутил.
This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point. You gut-busting little scam.
Суть в том, что он просто повторял эту шутку 500 раз. То, что это нихуя не смешно, на самом деле.
All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Вот в игре какая-то дичь вообще происходит.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So, with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Богомол. Че, обратно меня сейчас вернут? Ну да.
I can feel it. This time I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches.
Ну, когда появляются жуки, и космос, и война.
What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for
Стратегия выходит.
Там дело вышло.
Спать охотом.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to.
Мне прикол графон как-нибудь поменять во второй части. Ты про эту? Они и так уже выпустили ее на Unity. Наверное, если поменяли бы, она бы лагала бы, наверное, пиздец. Но ведро достаточно детализировано.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Ого.
What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There was supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point. A dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone.
Как они бегают, орут, там воюют, стреляют.
Joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to.
Что-то
And
так
it's
холодно
all my
сегодня.
fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room
Резко
comes
похолодало,
immediately after
ветрище,
the
пиздец.
bathroom. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
У нас наоборот потеплело. У нас что-то
Here
2
we go.
градуса.
You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Вылез из пуховика. Пойдешь спать. Спокойной ночи, год.
What? We're back
Опять
at
то
the
же
phone
самое.
already? No.
Он ресетает.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2
Короче,
open doors,
в дверь не
entered the
пойти
door
уже.
on the left. No.
Okay.
You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's
говорит, что
done.
не
The
может
joke is
пошутить.
completely done and over. It's all your
телефон.
fault, Stanley.
Всё, говорит, твоя
I'm
ошибка.
going to be
Субтитры попали
ridiculed in the
просто.
community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Чего?
Stanley, you
Конец.
love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes.
Тоже считается
But let me
концовки,
try
типа.
that again, Stanley. I heard that you
А что-то еще интересного, прикольного есть? Или просто все добавляется про ведро, шутки? Что он с ведром ходит? А где тогда кусок про бесконечную дыру? Что там еще есть? Прыжков нету. Собирание фигурок. Пока что только шары и ведро мы видели. Те же плюс-минус только с ведром. А, то есть, кроме ведра ничего не будет больше, да? И шаров. Или будет, но где-то запрятано просто. Собрать все фигурки. Ой, бля, я что-то пока ни одной не видел. Еще новая тема. Угу. Но они как-то, наверное, должны выделяться, я хз. Но тут заебешься, тут же столько развилок. И всего 6, одно я там типа подобрал. Еще типа 5. В митинг-руме. Еще познать, что за митинг-рум, лол. Бип-бип.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Get well someday. Вот здесь, что ли? Это митинг.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Подсобки было бы логично.
No, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for coming to a staircase. Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these. Only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done.
Ну, эта штука есть и без этого здесь.
God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
Только с
All
ведром?
because he
Может
believed
быть, да.
everyone had vanished.
Но я думал, с ведром
His
уже
boss
все.
would think he- Already
Где
this
вообще
was
ведро-то?
uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as
Второй
soon as he found a
комнате.
new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
How we can find them? Доверьтесь инстинкту перфекциониста. Что мы знаем? Летающие объекты могут появляться в офисе. Найдите, получите награду. Туалет бумага. 416. Красная комната. Типа расположение, где они находятся. Спасибо, удачи. На доске подсказка. А здесь? Здесь была на слайдах подсказка. В толчке... В кладовой. Найти всех, получите награду. На выставке Сигл большая комната, куча коробок, лестница. Да это просто места. Нет, он может здесь появляется.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket.
Подсобка
You can
хочет
feel
твое
that,
ведро.
can't you? The aura of jealousy, it's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in.
А я
Don't
могу отдать
hand
ведро.
over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting
Да,
friends.
я бы уже
That your
отдал бы
relationship is
10
purely
тысяч раз.
superficial and convenient. That your life is so banal and
Ладно,
meaningless
надоел.
that you'd feel the same sort of kinship. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Слишком затянут. Где все туалеты? Может, это странное ведро? Туалет начальника. А вот и фигурка.
Another miniature Stanley figurine.
Третья.
You know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about minis?
Еще одна в красной, 416.
What about
Одна на лестнице мы подобрали.
I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Остальных где? Значит, написано. Значит, некоторые комнаты появляются только с ведром еще. Лифт какой-то. Насри в это ведро. Вот, значит, как ты бы с ним поступил. Это наш спутник. А ты сразу насрать в ведро. Это было в первой части. Стэнли. И че, я вернулся? На него вообще можно куда-то приехать? Или нет? Кто помнит? С кубом в портал. Кстати, в том голосовании победила Гладос в итоге на ДТФ за самого типа злодея. Прикиньте. Ну и хуйня.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours,
Эти голосования давно забыл их выгнать.
pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were
The
inseparable.
bucket.
At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Ого.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines.
Четвертое.
And now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Еще один лифт.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Смерть. Это сам бесконечная дыра. Бабах. О, но.
Stanley and the bucket inched closer to
Ведру
their
тоже
demise.
пизда.
Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Не надо.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Ведро. Вдруг женщина заговорила.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to
Поистине славное
behold.
ведро. Ведро. Приглашают вас на большую выставку. Вы подошли к порогу настоящего знания. Как само ведро, человеческий разум зачастую всего лишь пустой сосуд. С помощью таких средств какая-то выставка разум наполняется смыслом и познанием. Знание о ведре и его истории — единственная непреложная истина в переменчивом мире. Возьмете ли вы с собой во внешний мир то, что узнаете здесь? Откроете ли разум тому, что может показаться сложным или даже невыносимым? Поменяете ли вы свою жизнь и жизнь своих близких после этой выставки? Или отвернетесь и будете жить как прежде в невежестве и темноте? Ведра больше нет.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that
Ведро с двумя ручками.
far more noble than Stanley will
Вот это
ever be
дизайн.
in his short life?
Инновации. Это же ведро. Адское ведро. Репродукция адского ведра, которое так ценилось в средние века, что целые народы шли за него на войну. Люди гибли сотнями тысяч, но один факт остался непреложным. Ни у кого нет власти над ведром. Ведро антистресс. Комментарий отсутствует. Все молятся ведру. Как вы думаете, затянулась шутка про ведро или
man
но?
can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Висящее ведро. Экспонат символизирует неизбежную связь ведра и человечества. Мы можем думать, что отлично понимаем ведро, но всегда найдется что-то, чего мы еще не осознали. Это всегда к лучшему. Ого. Я бы сказал, какая шутка затянулась.
There is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this
SCP
terrible
подъехал. Да
wrong.
какая SCP? Вообще тут нет ничего про SCP. Это ж ёбнутая игра в этом плане.
Stanley
Про
die.
четвертую
Let
стену.
him be
С SCP вообще ноль связи.
Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another.
Здесь надо нажать игру заново. Или надо было прям перезапустить игру. Вот я не помню здесь этот момент, чтобы не помереть, типа.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose
Где
of this
субтитры?
message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
По-моему, там сказал, чтобы доказать, что вы слушаете это сообщение, выключите его. Что типа того. Когда DLC Control будет, понятия не имею. Я даже не ставил эту игру, считай. Чтобы посмотреть, как там вообще реализовано. Фонд так делает.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
417, 416. Вот, красная. Но сюда не попасть. Там типа. Пока на что-нибудь.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned
Уже
out to
были
be correct?
DLC?
Well, no,
Нет.
never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Alan Wake 2, Alan Wake 2 выйдет, дай бог, там через года 3,
Said the
наверное.
bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious
23-й
fact.
год.
He was firmly
Это
convinced that the bucket had spoken
пиздёж.
to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Ты видел игры, которые выходят в срок в последнее время? Нет, а при чем тут то, что он был? И то, что я не играл в DLC, ты понимаешь, о чем речь идет вообще? Или ты что-то, это о чем-то о своем? Ты не понял, о чем речь идет? Привет, Иван. Ни одного босса в Control? Так они все одинаковые, там смесь этих духов.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless...
What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket?
Да, речь о том, что я играл в оригинальный Control, но не проходил DLC, хотел пройти их как...
Well, my goodness. I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in
No
here.
buckets past this point. Ведро не должно пройти. Не может, точнее, проходить сюда. Это ведро?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Нет.
Correct. It is a
Это
hologram,
голограмма ведра.
not an actual bucket.
Я ради рофла нажал. Пиздец. А как я должен был понять?
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Нет.
Correct. It is a 3D
Распечатанная на 3D принтере модель ведра, не настоящее ведро, пиздец. Похоже, единственное ведро у нас в руках. Это забавно.
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
А вот это ведром окажется. Нет.
Incorrect.
Неправильно.
This is a bucket.
Но не важно.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Да.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
Смешно.
Is this a bucket?
Да.
Correct.
Это ведро.
Is a bucket.
Почему это ведро он не объяснит? Ну, просто типа это, короче, мы обучаем нейросеть.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Нет.
Trick question. Both.
Вопрос с
Gotcha.
подвохом. И да, и нет. Окей. А что там за дрочильня в
Item...
DLC?
Wait,
Я думал,
hold
они
on, I can't
сюжетные.
find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you.
Тут ничего нет.
There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well
Ничто
nothing
это не
isn't a
ведро.
bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything
Всё
is a
есть
bucket, which of
ведро.
course is not true. Unless, is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
Нет.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing
Ты ведро,
this.
да.
I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with.
И ведро, и нет,
I'm
видимо.
afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
За что?
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket.
Все в игре было ведром.
God, I had no idea.
Да, на самом деле, Stanley Parable это было про ведро.
I'm not a bucket after all.
Ну,
And you,
я тоже не
Stanley,
ведро.
You're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that
Хватить
issue.
гвоздь
It
это
doesn't change the
обелиск, и
fact
тебе надо
that we
бегать по
haven't
карте,
got a
делать
game.
каменные шары
So,
круглыми.
tell you what, I'll reset everything.
Звучит
We'll put back all of the buckets,
как не самый плохой
And we'll
геймплей, в
know
принципе,
that
еще.
it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information
Мне
might
забавно,
do
что
to a
там
person.
такое.
All right, here we go.
И что?
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what
ведро-то
I
есть?
wanted.
Ведро-то на месте.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Хз. Что-то еще остается. Ну собрать эти фигурки и... Ну да, наверное, с фигурками
Coming to a
связано то, что...
staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Ну, в офисе босса мы уже были. Где на лифте уехал. Потом я ввел код. Не.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of
По-моему,
the bucket.
4185,
Even now, in
4815.
his darkest of hours, did the bucket's
Сказать,
warm,
где? Да нет, не
guiding
надо.
light
Я, наверное, просто сейчас
pierce the
закончу, да и
dark
все.
clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be
4285.
with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable.
Блин, какой-то был
At
код.
this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the
Смолу
bucket
слить.
did he have any notion that the
О,
pin
новые
above the
фразочки в чате.
was
Смолу
2845.
слить. 2845. 2845.
But Stanley guessed
В
the
ведро
correct
надо
code by
сливать
sheer
смолу.
luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Ладно, это опять то же самое. Будет, по сути. Тут вот повторений много. Ну, если ты что-то хочешь там все узнать. Я что, перезапуск нажал, по-моему. Начать заново. Надо было, наверное, просто, может, выйти из игры.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large
Я вот
door
сюда
that
пошел.
read,
Вот сюда не ходил.
Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears.
Че они взяли, просто добавили, помимо вот того уровня, ну, супер нового, просто куски с ведром. И все, да?
Was the bucket under the mind control
Ну еще
facility's
фигурки,
influence
точно.
as well?
С фигурками
Had
не
the
знаю,
bucket
что там
been told to do
происходит.
things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Пусть фигурок еще минут 15. Ну здесь тоже, по сути, получается. Ну где-то в общей сложности, наверное, часа полтора. Типа нового контента. Ну как нового старого, да?
He screamed into the
Шутки в
bucket.
основном
He
всякие.
couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The
По-моему,
heart
долгий
of the
кусок.
operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content.
Ну ладно, тут понятно. Выйти в меню. Сиквел на паузу. Тут, кстати, поменялась, да, заставка? Теперь типа пишется 2 якобы. Забавно. Ну ладно. Оценили эту новую версию. И она, по-моему, отдельно, да, действительно продается. Просто она сейчас в Стиме Что-то продается, что-то не продается, хер, что купишь. Оригинал уже не купить. Типа, только Deluxe. Я так понимаю, да? Или она обновилась для всех, у кого оригинал был до Deluxe? Допустим, я хочу в оригинал, да, поиграть. Посмотреть, что там. Хотя, по сути, просто не заходишь в комнату новый контент и все. Ну ладно, чуваки. Сегодня такой стрим тоже. В принципе, поиграли. Пришлось полчаса повозиться с настройками. У меня почему-то игра криво, считайте, работала. Ну, норм. На сегодня это все. Я думаю, что... А там посмотрим. Завтра стрима, наверное, не будет, скорее всего. Так что... Ну, завтра уже сегодня. Так что, наверное, в субботу. Ориентировочно в субботу встретимся. Я думаю, что там поглядим, во что поиграем, чем будем заниматься. Ждем тогда на праздники. Да, надеюсь, все будет норм. Давайте вам хорошей пятницы, там выходных. Увидимся. До встречи. Может, что-нибудь придет в голову мне что-то так хорошее поиграть, пройти. Или чем-то еще заняться. Может, какой-нибудь стрим другой направленности. Хотя, что там особо. Нашел в Твиттер, читаю, что People Can Fly подтвердили, что с релиза Outriders так и не получили от Square Enix денег с продаж игры. То есть челы работали за бесплатно и все еще игру обновляют, поддерживают бесплатно или что? Это я чисто так заголовок прочитал про Outriders просто. Забавно. Square Enix очень странная компания. Ну ладно, чуваки, да, давайте. Спокойной ночи. Увидимся. Всем счастливо. Пока.